Good morning, party people. Um, how is everybody doing today? I know that so many of us are going through some crazy times, and I'm sitting here and I'm praying and I'm thinking, and we're in June right now, 2017, and I know that so many of us have gone through some pretty hard times. I've seen really people that are dedicated, people that are um, either seeking growth, seeking the truth, know the truth and living the truth, um, hoping or trying to open their eyes or eyes wide open. People that are spiritually awakening or spiritually awake, going through a lot of hard times right now. You know, and it's hard. It's hard to look at the contrast. The people that are walking around sleeping totally uncaring or pretending to have eyes open and just living the life, totally buying into the worldly system, seeming to do okay. Or they're, I also see people that are totally of the worldly system going through really, everyday stuff that we all kind of face here and really not able to handle it, complaining about it, not helping other people, and they seem to be doing okay. Or, like I said, minute problems, everyday stuff that any human being goes through, not able to handle it. And then there's others, like I said, the people that are awakening or trying to be awake, that are just waking up or that have been awake for a long time, um, really experiencing some hardships. The Bible is chock full of wisdom, and I know that some of you don't know that, you haven't read it yet, or you don't understand it when you read it, and there's some of you that do read it and follow it. The Bible is truth. I know that some of you don't want to believe that, but it truly is. And there are such tidbits of wisdom in there. Like in the book of James, he talks about, um, he says, don't tell me you have faith. Show me your faith. He said, I'll show you my faith through my works. And what that means is if you're truly trusting the Lord. Now, some people misinterpret that and they think they have to do works created by men, like ritualistic stuff and, all of that garbage. And that's what it is garbage. What that statement actually means is if you're truly living by faith, it'll show in your words, in your actions. You will live by faith. Just when something's about to come, when you're on the right path. Another thing that people say that drives me crazy is if you're on the right path, if you're aligned with God, things will go smooth. That's not true. Because if you're on the right path and you're doing the right things, the worldly system disagrees with you. So you're going to have the enemy on your back and you're going to have the worldly system on your back. You're going to have people of the world telling you you're crazy. You're going to have the enemy attacking you at every turn. And he uses worldly people to do that. What drives me crazy even more than that is people who claim to be believers but yet live in the worldly system, still do things that are totally unaligned or um, out of focus with the truth. We need to keep trusting. I know it's a time of frustration. I know that many of us are frustrated, but another thing is it's not all about us. Now, God will give us exactly what's right for us. And I'm not saying, if it doesn't happen, it wasn't right. I think that's a cop out so many times because sometimes the enemy blocks things and stuff. But we have to truly trust. And how do you trust? You continue to live the way that He wants you to live, regardless of the world system. You have to, okay, so first and foremost, surrender to God, surrender to Him, tell Him, I can't do this without you. I don't know what I'm talking about. I know what I want. I know what I think I want. I know what I think's best for me. But I'm going to hand it over to you. And you got to surrender every day, sometimes more times than once a day, all day long, depending on what the situation is. you know. Secondly, detach from this world completely because there ain't nothing here. that really matters. What really matters is love in your heart, loving God, loving your heart, helping other people, being of service, living the right way. Because then when we get to our ultimate destination, we're all going to be accountable. So, yeah, you want to get into the worldly system and maybe get what you think you want and live in misery. Because, see, if it's from the enemy, he'll give you what you want. You'll end up living in misery, even while you're here. Even if you get that $1,000,000, even if you get that whatever, that relationship you think you want. If it's not of God, it's going to make you miserable. There are some people, I was just talking to someone this morning, who will actually give up what they know to be right to live in the worldly system and have their so-called security and choose misery. And they do it openly, knowing that's what it's going to be. It's like, come on, give me a break. What's more important? Your stupid security in this world, which has no security at all? You're going to lose it all anyway. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having money or security. That's not what I'm saying. Money is not evil. Security is not evil. But to put that ahead of God, to put that ahead of spirituality, to put that ahead of other people, to hurt other people to get it, that's, you're not going to be happy in it, and it's wrong. And I don't know. To truly trust God is to surrender, to act upon your faith, which means you are going to, the world's going to think you're crazy because you're acting on your faith. So you're going to do things that the world will say, what are you, ridiculous? You're in the situation. Just for an example, the Lord tells us to give back to Him, and how you get back to Him. God doesn't need money, but how you get back to Him is through your spiritual teachers, through your local church. If you don't have a local church, if you don't have a home church, through your spiritual teachers, through the people that bring you closer to God, that help you, that feed you spiritually. And you may say, well, I don't have any money. But trusting in God is saying, I know that everything comes from you, so I'm going to give this, and I'm going to trust that you're going to take care of me. Now, some TV preachers and other New Age gurus and that kind of thing have taken advantage of that truth and that principle and turned it into a money-making scam and said, oh, give and you'll return. So if you're giving to get the return, your heart's not in the right place, don't even do it. Don't even do it. Do it because you trust God. Trusting God is when God tells you something's going to happen, believing Him and acting as if it already did. If God tells you that relationship is yours, if God tells you to hang on to your marriage, if God tells you that the person that you love is the one for you, hang on to that. Now, you can't make another person do anything. You can never do that. And if they choose the wrong choices, it'll come around again. If that relationship is what God wants, it'll come around again. But you have to act as if it is. You have to believe that. If God told you this is the job you're supposed to take, you're supposed to do this, and the worldly system says that's ridiculous, don't do that, it's not going to work out, you're not educated for it, you don't have the qualifications. Well, if God said you're going to get it, plan on getting it. But if you buy into the lies of the world, and the enemy will bring like family, friends, you can't get that job. You're not educated for it. You can't spend that money. What are you doing? You don't have any money. You must belong to a cult. I've heard that over and over. It really hurts me. I got to tell you, I have a friend who people have said nasty things about me because I have such a strong faith in God and they are worldly. And instead of standing up and saying, no, I stand not even for me, but I stand for God. Instead, they just stay quiet. Okay, all right. just as not to cause any conflict. Now, I'm not saying we're supposed to fight with the world. We're not. We're supposed to detach from the world. I have so much on my heart this morning, and I'm not going to go into all that because then it's going to become about me. My biggest thing I want to say to you is surrender. And if you have a promise from God, count on Him, not on the worldly system that's going to tell you different. Because what the enemy wants us to do is believe him. Believe those doubts in our heads. Believe those fears. Stop acting on our faith and start acting within the worldly system. Yeah, sure, people won't think you're crazy anymore. You might end up with worldly security, but what are you forfeiting? What are you giving up? No, rather trust in God. Believe in Him. See, with the enemy, you might get what you want immediately, but you're going to end up destroyed because that's his deal. He wants to kill, steal, and destroy. But with God, you might end up kind of jumping over hurdles in the beginning. You might end up going through all this crap. But in the end, you have security, not only in the end, his promises will come to pass, no doubt about it. There is absolutely no doubt. There is never a time when God says, oops, I'm sorry, I was wrong. His promises will come to pass. And you may have to jump over hurdles, but you know what? You're going to have peace through those hurdles. You're going to have joy through those hurdles. And in the end, you have the security beyond anything the world or the enemy can give you. I'm just saying this because I know a lot of people are suffering, and I know that some of the stuff is really, really hard to understand. And like I said, I could go off because there's a lot on my heart right now, but I don't want to I don't want to turn it around and make it about my personal stuff. Surrender. Surrender to God. Live the way He wants you to. Trust in His promises and live that way. Act on faith. Even if your heart's breaking inside, if He promised you, you hold on to that promise and don't let go. And you continue to live, helping other people. Sending money that you think you don't have. And I'm not saying make yourself broke. I'm not a televangelist. But help other people, even when you think you can't. If your heart's broken, go reach out to somebody else that's heartbroken. Surrender to Him. Let Him know you can't do it on. That's all He wants to know is, hey, I'm leaning on you. Kind of like a parent with their children. You want your children to trust you, right? How would you feel if your children were saying behind your back, well, geez, I don't know if Mom's going to feed us today. I know she said she would, but it's not looking good. How would you feel about that? Trust Him. Don't let go of that trust. Hang on. Act as if He's already granted your prayer, because He has. Don't be fooled by the worldly system. And you keep that faith. Join together with people that also keep the faith. We can support each other. We can lift each other up. And I promise you, you will have peace and joy through those hard times, and those promises will come to pass. God is not a man. He's not a liar. All right, you guys take care.